Hi there, this is another episode, the second episode actually, of Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries of New York. And I took a while recording the next part because it's actually pretty difficult reading the whole time. Like, it gets a little bit on my voice. And since it's September, October now, it is October now. I'm not I'm not hovering between time. I know it's October now, but my voice is a little bit strained because of the weather and everything, so I have to take a little bit care. So I don't know whether this will be a 1 hour setting this time. We'll just see. I'm looking forward to it. Also, fair warning, I know I try to do voices with this game because it's super fun. And also might be enjoyable for you. But also, I forgot totally the voices I did in the last game. So everyone who, if you meet someone we've met before, they will have a completely different voice. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. Okay, let's go. Um. Okay. Apologies, you must have so many questions while we're on the topic. Perhaps we should start with those related to sustenance. Ooh, tomato soup. How much do I have to drink? Where do you get blood? What if I refuse to drink? Yeah, this is kind of... I mean, where do you get blood? I think we kind of know. Oh, I don't know. I want to... How much do I have to drink is also pretty... I feel this hunger constantly. How much do I have to drink to make it go away? The sad reality is it will never go away. No matter how much you drink, you will always be tempted to have more. Unless you consume someone wholly to the last drop, paying for temporary relief with their life. But that is a one-way road to losing your humanity. Best start by just taking a single sip from a vessel. I don't look that up. I know what a vessel is. I mean, Hula Noob in this game, like the character I called Hula, he's a little bit... He takes a little longer to get things. But, you know, I thought I'm not very smart, but he's another ball game, so... A vessel, that's a human. Or whatever you drink from, I guess. Be prudent. Hot, fresh blood will be more satiating than most anything they serve in a fancy glass, but it can make you more voracious. As to how much you should have, it depends. If you're frugal, you can survive many nights without a single drink, but it's risky and will tempt the beast that is part of your curse. Okay, now I'm interested. What's the beast? The Inchoate? Drives and urges that threaten to turn a vampire into a mindless, ravening monster. Okay. Tomorrow I shall take you hunting and we will explore this topic further. The blood you're having tonight should be enough to keep you happy for now. Ooh! I read up on that, so I don't really need to know. Did you say hunting? As in rifles, hounds, and funny hats hunting? Know what I mean? Hula is not... Yeah, of course. They do a hunting party, Hula. They will have hounds and rifles and be on horses. That's exactly what Sophie meant in the middle of New York. Yes, yes, Hula, yes. Nothing of the sort, don't be silly. We are predators, but we are civilized, and most importantly, there is the Masquerade to consider. I will get back to that. Ooh, the Masquerade. That's the title. The habit or tradition of hiding the existence of vampires from humanity. Designed to protect vampires from destruction at the hands of mankind, the Masquerade was adopted after the medieval Inquisition claimed many kindred unlives. The term unlives really makes me uncomfortable. It's not good. That's just, you know, pay a good marketing company to come up with something better. A hunt may take many forms. There are those of us who seduce kine up to and including the motions of intercourse. Ooh, if you feel like it. Others prefer to feed under the guise of a mugging or assault. A term for mortals largely contemptuous. The phrase kindred and kind refers to the world at large, everything. Oh, so it's a slur. Jesus. Some have herds of oh god. Sorry for always the words. I don't know, should I wait till the ending? But then I might forget. Some have herds of retainers for the purpose of feeding, drinking from sleepers in their homes is not uncommon. Blood banks are an option to the few that can't tolerate it, though they are frowned upon. It's probably like fast food. It's not, yeah. A human who serves a vampiric master. Kindred rarely go without at least a few of these mortals, both for convenience and protection. Isn't a retainer also, like, for braces? No, I probably remember that wrong. You will need to identify these opportunities and decide for yourself whether to pursue them. But make no mistake, you will have to hunt to survive. Okay, so retainer is basically like my blood slave, I guess, or the blood donor if they do it willingly. The concierge returns, asks for permission to intrude, which Sophie gives with a polite smile, and leans in to whisper in her ear. You note that the gallery is now almost empty. It was always empty. I'm being told the gallery is just about to close, but we still have quite a lot to discuss. We'll go to one of my apartments. My jalopy is waiting downstairs. Come. The smile she puts on makes you remember the way you felt with a woman. With a woman. It's not arousing though, more like magnetic. You find it hard to argue. Even though you're still suspicious of her authority over you, her charm momentarily wins you over. Sophie leads you to a luxurious silver Rolls-Royce and invites you to sit in the back. The chauffeur, a broad-shouldered, clean-shaven, middle-aged guy, so any white guy without a beard, starts driving immediately. Where did we leave off? I believe I started telling you a bit more about our customs. You've heard the prince refer to our traditions. The chief among them is the Masquerade. I mean, oh my god! The 6 traditions form the core framework for governance among the kindred. The first tradition, the Masquerade. Thou shalt not reveal thy true nature. The second tradition, the domain. Thy domain is thine own concern. All others owe thee respect while in it. So my house, my rules. You know. The third tradition, the progeny. Thou shalt only sire another with the permission of thine elder. That was the one that the woman kind of, you know, went against, probably on behest of the anonymous person at the beginning of the game. The fourth tradition, the accounting. Those thou create are thine own children. Their sins are thine to endure. The fifth tradition, hospitality. Honor one another's domain. Yeah, we had that, so that's like the second tradition also. Without the word of acceptance, thou art nothing. The sixth tradition, destruction. Thou art forbidden to destroy another of thy kind. The right of destruction belongeth only to thine elder. But if it only belongs to the elder, and everyone has an elder, get my drift? So no one can just, you know what I mean. It's not really logical, like, but a few loopholes. As you might have gathered from us assembling at a niche gallery after closing time, our comings, goings, and doings tend to be somewhat secretive. We do not advertise our existence. We allow myths and modern fiction to morph and muddle the facts, so to the vast majority of kind, we remain bedtime stories and pop culture icons. Say, is that one television show about the vampire angel still popular? Oh my god! How old is this reference? This is... Damn, I even forgot the name, it's so old. It's from Buffy, the spin-off. I forgot his name, I'm sorry. I even liked watching that, but I totally forgot it. I will put that link to the show trailer or whatever in the liner note for this video. You shake your head in confusion. She shrugs and continues talking, looking a little bit more dejected than before. Aw, she's so sad. It was her favorite show. Our clandestine ways help us remain safe, allow us to explain away the occasional trip up to the rational minds of 21st century humanity, and dictate much of our interactions with mortals. Woman, do I have to tell you about something called Droop Blood? You will be delighted. It's a mess and it's so much fun. Who cares if the driver is... He's probably not. What's the worst that could happen if you're a vampire? I'm sure you can defeat any threat that comes your way. Sun. Spikes. It would surely make things easier if we could. Unfortunately for us, there are plenty of things that harm us. Chief among them are sunlight and fire. Both will burn you to ash. That's why we rest during the day. You felt it, I'm sure, that it's more like being dead than being dormant. But we have no choice. We are night dwellers, but day sleepers. Some more folk-related threats are just legends or occasionally a minor nuisance. Garlic running water, even religious symbols don't repel us unless the wielder is uniquely pure and godly. Like Keanu Reeves. Stakes through the heart, though, that's something to avoid. They do not destroy, but they do paralyze, which, under the right circumstances, can often be the same thing. Oh, I think they go by the logic of, of Dracula, because there the stake has to be, like in most older legends, the stake has to be in the heart. It has to stay. And I think it's in Dracula where they pull it out and then the vampire comes back to life. I don't know whether it was Dracula or some other movie, or story, sorry. I also read Dracula, you know. I'm not just watching the movies. But yeah, so sorry for always interrupting. I have a lot of thoughts here. That's a reason to have somebody like my trusted driver, Gregory, making sure you're safe when you drift away. See, I knew it. We have many enemies, and they often know their advantage lies with daylight. Dude, no! Am I right in thinking that having a human friend or two is necessary then, or at least useful? In moderation, and best if they don't know your true nature. Also, I would say that subordinates are useful, but friends? I haven't had one of those for many years now. Angel! The show was called Angel, wasn't it? I think it was. Our little sect supplies social interactions aplenty, but it doesn't really encourage friendships. Alliances of convenience to be broken at a whim. Yes, that's more like it. A sect is a group of vampires arguably united under a common philosophy. The two most widely known sects currently populating the night are the Camarilla and the Anarch movement. But we could choose between three. That's weird. Long-term, solidarity does occur in the Camarilla, but we are a very politicized organization by necessity. Loyalty is to your sire, to your prince, and to the sect. A vampire's begetter, the kindred who created them. That's the woman. Friends must remain a distant priority at best for us to maintain the masquerade and thrive as the years pass. With age comes authority, with it comes influence and power if you wish to reach for them. She seems to be lost in thought and falls silent for a while, leaving you to ponder all the things you've learned tonight. It still feels absolutely unreal, but as piece after piece of knowledge falls into place, the image becomes almost like an entirely logical jigsaw puzzle. Whatever you wouldn't believe on your own, you've witnessed. Many questions swarm your thoughts, but the one you keep returning to is what your place in this new reality should be. The car stops. You're in the city in front of an old but well-renovated apartment building. We're here. Would you like to see your lodgings? How long do you expect me to stay here? Like, is this a temporary setup, or... It's not a prison, if that's what you're asking. You can leave and find your own haven, if you'd like. But unlike some basement, it is both sunproof and comfortable. Come upstairs. A vampire's home or base, where they find sanctuary from the sun. You know, I never want to click those because they seem logical within context, but with the traditions we had suddenly like huge lore, so I have to, sorry. She leads you through a small hall with a night guard who greets Miss Langley with a good evening, and you take the stairs up to the second floor. Sophie opens the door to room 209. Inside are all the amenities you could expect from a modern apartment, and some you wouldn't have deemed necessary just the previous night, including thick blinds on the windows. So he's not a gamer, because... or watching horror movies. During the daylight, it's always too light. You have to use thick blinds. Apparently I'm a vampire, so... The back room has a comfortable looking bed and a thick steel door with several sturdy looking locks but no windows. I wanted to say clocks, but... Well, how do you like it? It's nice, in this very agreeable way, you know, lacks character. I mean, the wallpaper in the back, that honestly has character. Also, is that... Oh my god. Is that poster the never-ending story? Look at the poster. Is that, it's Fuchu in German. I don't know whether he has a different name in English. That's cool. Well, I would appreciate it if you could hold back the need to redecorate. I'm actually really fond of the decor here. So a fan of the never-ending story. Good for you. Tomorrow I will take you hunting and discuss the blood in more detail. I'll let you get comfortable. The keys are by the television set. I will come pick you up tomorrow night. Use the back room for rest. You can lock the doors just in case. It stings a bit when she leaves. It's like the room suddenly became a few shades dimmer. You inspect the kitchen hoping to find something to drink. Nothing. No regular food either. Yeah, well, you're going hunting tomorrow. Jesus. Feels strange that Kadir could be a more thoughtful host than your new sire, even if only in that respect. You briefly wonder if the sheriff might have a hidden side. I mean, maybe she lets you hunger so you're more in tune for the hunt. I mean, it would be logical as a vampire that if you're hungry, then your senses are clearer, you know? Like my senses in a supermarket when I'm hungry, I can sniff out food that fills me up. But if I'm not hungry, I will go for the healthy stuff, so... Just, you know, tell my vampire life. The sheriff ensures that the traditions and the decrees of the prince are obeyed, hunts down violators and delivers just punishment. So Kadir is the sheriff, okay. In the case of minor violations or known enemies of the Camarilla, the sheriff is usually authorized to act as both judge and jailer executioner, but when it comes to greater offenses, they will deliver the accused to the court to be judged. Yeah, it's also a little bit room for interpretation, because what is a great and what is a small offense? Oh. With nothing left to do, you lie on the couch with the TV playing in the background for company. Columbo reruns. Really? Come on. Do some... What's current vampire shows? The Vampire Diaries, I think, is over. There was also a show called The Strain, I think. I already mentioned True Blood. Oh, there's so many more, but I can't think of any. Kojak reruns. Damn, what that... President of the United States got himself into serious trouble again. Oh, that's so topical! Yes, he did. Or did he? President of the United States got himself out of trouble again. Well, we're still waiting for that awful news. Pundits start yelling over each other about things that seemed a little bit less insignificant just 2 days ago. You start drifting off, reflecting about another night of confusing conversations and worldview-shattering revelations. How many more before you finally understand what happened to you and what you're supposed to do now? You keep coming back to the life you left behind, the people you should contact, the things you want to pick up from your apartment. You wonder when you'll have the chance for either. As you start to feel the same tiredness that made you drift into a cold sleep last night, you settle in the back room. The bed is comforting, the lack of windows less so. You leave the light bulb on. Looking at it, you realize it's the closest you'll ever come to staring at the sun on a breezy summer day again. There's daylight lamps, but also, like, pictures and movies, TV shows. Just saying. A wave of melancholy overwhelms you. A few minutes later, your consciousness fades and you take the plunge into darkness again. Sinking, 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 sinking. I don't think it was supposed to be read like that, but... Rest. Hunger is at the heart of a vampire's existence. To ignore it is to tempt the beast to take over in its desire to feed. To overindulge in feeding may threaten a masquerade while staining what humanity you have left. In Coteries of New York, having high hunger is indicated by a progressively thicker bloody frame around the screen, like the one you see now. Yeah, I see it. As your hunger grows, so does this indicator. Your hunger may increase when you call upon your vampiric powers or when you need to mend your wounds after a fight. Damn! Gameplay! When your hunger reaches the maximum level, you will receive a warning after you complete a piece of the story. Ignore it at your own peril. Some choices might only become visible if your hunger is high enough. Similarly, high hunger may block off some choices as you will be able to see after pressing continue. Ooh, okay. To decrease your hunger, you will need to feed. Whenever you see a feeding opportunity, you could take the risk to hunt and slake your hunger. Sorry. Slake your hunger? You will need to keep the hunger at bay if you are to uphold the masquerade and survive the nights that await you. You open your eyes. The bed isn't warm. The room is filled with artificial light from the ceiling. The solid metal door is closed. Normally you'd stretch for a bit. On some mornings you'd probably throw the quilt over yourself and snooze a moment longer. But that was before. The way you woke up now, you're fully conscious. No grogginess, nothing weighing you down. Just the nagging need in the back of your head. Hunger, not as severe as the last time, but unmistakably there. You get up and open the door to the main room. A digital clock on the TV shows you the time. 9:04 p.m. You walk over to the blinds and retract them cautiously. The only light coming in is NYC's artificial nighttime luminescence. So that's what your waking hours are going to look like now. You missed the sunlight already. I guess welcome to the life of Saturday Night Live writers. Apparently they really do live like that. You're seriously considering just walking out of the apartment and figuring this all out by yourself, but then you come back to the memory of Kadir's exotic sword being raised in the gallery. Maybe sticking around isn't that bad of an idea after all. You keep jumping channels for around half an hour and then switch to streaming services. Almost as if the universe had a sense of irony. You catch True Blood in the flood of recommendations. But it's still quite old. I feel like there's more current vampire shows on TV, but I really can't think of any. There's quite a few cool mangas, though. The doorbell rings. It's Sophie.
Good evening, Hula. Slept well?
It's not really like normal sleep, is it?
I suppose it isn't. Some say it's more like being dead, but we wouldn't know, would we? It's no use reflecting on it anyway, except that this is who you are now. You made the right choice yesterday. I can teach you many things about yourself, your blood, its desires and its power. We will begin tonight. You are hungry, yes? I'm sure you are. Our kind always is. There's only one remedy, the blood. The drinks we had yesterday at Elysium are not the usual way you slake your thirst.
A place where vampires may gather without fear of harm. Court functions in Elysium are strictly kept apart from mortals and surrounded by secrecy, but the Elysium building itself could be a public museum, a gallery or club. Berghain is in Anarch Elysium, the Louvre is in Camarilla Elysium, the Berghain is in Berlin where I live, and it's a shitty club. It really is. However, the sound is great. I was at a concert there. It's good sound, but I don't like clubs where they don't let people in.
So tonight I will assist you in your first foray into hunting. You need to learn to sense the kind of blood you desire, to understand how you can use the kind's vulnerabilities to your advantage.
Well, I'm ready to learn. Let's get started!
Such eagerness, or is it just your hunger making you impatient? You will find that drinking moderate amounts of it regularly will keep the hunger and the whispers of the beast away. You might think yourself monstrous, but there's a balance to be found here. The kiss gives the kind pleasure. You might remember this from your own embrace. Some can even become addicted to the sensation, but if you do it right, they tend to misremember your feeding.
The embrace, the act of transforming a mortal into a vampire. The embrace requires the vampire to drain a victim and then replace that victim's blood with a bit of her own. Okay, and the kiss is an act of drinking blood, usually from a mortal. The kiss causes feelings of ecstasy on those who receive it. Sexy.
After all, vampires do not exist. They are myths, fairy tales, and pop culture mainstays, correct?
She gives you a sly, knowing smile.
That is why the masquerade is so important and even more crucial when you feed.
How do I choose who to feed from? Are there better or worse, targets?
Isolated kine are easiest prey, of course, but much depends on context. Hunting requires a different approach in a busy club than it does on an empty street. With time you will have the luxury of finding your preference in hunting methods and prey. For now, I suggest experimenting, in moderation. Feeding from the same area repeatedly can be dangerous, but by branching out you risk the ire of other kindred on whose domains you trespass. Lucky for you, NYC is more forgiving in this regard.
We read both of those.
New York is in somewhat of a unique position. Many of its neighborhoods remain contested or unclaimed. The reason for this is a lesson for another time, but keep the following in mind. Take opportunities to feed when they present themselves these upcoming nights. As long as you hunt cautiously and respect the Masquerade at all times, you should be fine. To wit, I want you to join me for a trip tonight. Come downstairs, Gregory is waiting for us.
Who is Gregory? Is that the driver? The busy street fills the air with traffic noise, pedestrian chatter, and a mix of smells that disorient you momentarily. These warm bodies contain what you want, what you need. You catch yourself. Did you really just think of these people as mere sources of blood? It takes a nudge from Sophie to break your train of thought. Her driver opens the door for her and then tips his hat to you, gesturing to the back of the car. The car casually joins the somewhat thinned New York traffic. It's still busy in a way only one of the biggest cities in the world can be. But compared to the daytime commute, it's a pleasant drive. You barely have the time to gather your thoughts and formulate new questions before the car comes to a stop. You're among the tall skyscrapers that make up Manhattan's iconic skyline.
Come, Hula. Park the car, Gregory, will you?
The driver just nods and Sophie gets out. You join her and the two of you walk through the glass doors together, then take the elevator up. You first notice an empty stage with the instruments of a string quartet still in the back, then take in the few dozen chairs in front of it. The concert seeming concluded, the patrons, all smartly dressed and posh, have spread out all over the hall. Sophie strides confidently inside, produces an invitation from her purse that she flashes in front of a security guard. You follow close and are let through without issue.
Let's start easy. A social setting like this one would usually prove quite challenging to an inexperienced kindred, but consider this evening a small gift from your patron. I'm hoping to procure for you a willing vessel. Just remember what I told you about taking small sips. This one I have a soft spot for. Don't damage her. Now let's see here. Ah, there he is.
She notices somebody in the crowd, flashes a heart-melting smile, and suddenly even you feel drawn to her. You haven't thought about it before, but it's laid clear before you in this moment. Sophie is beautiful. Just looking at her is a privilege. Just being with her makes you feel elated. Everybody in the crowd, but especially the man who's almost tripping over himself to reach her, clearly agrees.
Edgar, I'm so happy to see you. How is your daughter? Is she with you? Oh, there she is.
Julie, my girl. Ooh, it's nearly my name.
Come over, please. There's somebody I'd like you to meet.
The young woman who walks across the hall can't be more than 19 years old. It's clear from her mismatched earrings and the partially faded purple hair dye that she doesn't fit this crowd.
Julie, this is Hula. I think the two of you should get acquainted while I talk business with your dad. Awfully boring stuff, I assure you. I'm positive you'll like each other.
The girl gives you a shy smile and nods towards the balcony stairs. You follow, somewhat unsure what it is exactly Sophie expects you to do. Hula, get your shit together. You reach a secluded space from which the entire lobby is visible. All eyes are on Sophie. They listen intently, then laugh when she does. Julie saves you the trouble of figuring out the next step. If you're with Sophie, then I guess you know... She puts her wrists to her lips and gives herself a theatrical nip, then looks to you embarrassed, but also hopeful. Hey, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Oh, you don't? She's clearly befuddled and unsure how to continue. She backs out of the topic and instead asks you about your favorite bands. You have the feeling she's waiting for you to do something. As you talk, she takes off her jacket, although the building isn't warm, unbuttons her sleeve and rolls it up. You see a tattoo of a cat in an astronaut suit. One feline eye winking at you. It's subtle, or at least she thinks it is, but the way she caresses her forearm is a dead giveaway. She's testing you. Can it be that she wants to be bitten? Yeah, whatever. You take her forearm in your hands. A quick look around confirms nobody's watching and no security cameras cover this area. You bite down gently. I said I would act like I would in real life. I don't think I would in real life because apparently I'm a grown man and this is a 19-year-old girl. Whatever they are doing, that's not appropriate. But I'm a vampire in this game, so look, before... And she wants... No, I don't want to use excuses for predators. But I don't want that hunger to take over and kill someone. Okay, so that is basically... Damn, it's just... With these rules, it's a slippery slope of defending, like, sexual predators and stuff like that. Ooh, I'm feeling uncomfortable already. It's surreal. She's just given you her blood of her own volition. How's this possible? What about the masquerade? You need to ask Sophie. Your thoughts disappear amid the bliss. There's just the taste. Sweet, fresh, sanguine. You drink. And drink. No! No! No, stop, stop, stop! You tear away from the girl harder than you wanted. Still, the bite leaves just tiny punctures. Almost as if by instinct, you lick them clean and the two holes become concealed just like that. Julie is now leaning on the wall, pale, wobbly on her feet, but happy? She lets out a dreamy sigh, opens her eyes, a few tears fall onto her shirt. Tears of joy.
Thank you. Please, can you walk me downstairs, please? My dad, he doesn't know. I think it's a condition. Miss Langley told him to.
Oh, yeah, there's the cat. See the cat tattoo? I'm so sorry, Julie. I don't... God, that was the wrong choice, to be quite honest. I should have waited to find someone else, someone older. Oh, man. Oh, I feel so bad. She leans on you and requests you walk her over to a bench. She takes a seat and smiles at you. Damn. The crowd around Sophie... I'm so embarrassed. Like, I shouldn't have done this. The crowd around Sophie disperses slowly. Looking at her now, only some residual awe hangs in the air. Yes, she's pretty, maybe even beautiful. Sure, but not your type. What came over you before? You walk over to her. Maybe she did her glamour thing.
Edgar, dear, it was splendid talking to you, but we need to get going. Give Julie my best wishes. Come with, Hula.
Gregory is waiting for you out front. It's only in the car that Sophie addresses you.
I can tell from your look that you took the opportunity. Good for you. That girl's exquisite, don't you think? You wouldn't tell her by her demeanor, but she has so much passion. It brings out a unique bouquet in her blood.
This feels all wrong. I feel like I violated her, like I took advantage of her.
Oh, please, spare me your dramatics. I'm sure she was happy sharing herself. She's such a sheltered girl. Let her have fun from time to time. Time for the next stop. Training wheels off this time, Gregory. Flushing Meadows, please.
The driver takes the car over the Williamsburg Bridge. You settle your thoughts. Those people back at the hall, they were all entranced. Even I was under your spell. What was that? She smiles with satisfaction.
That old trick? Just the blood doing my bidding. We all have our talents. Some of them come from the legacy we inherit from our sire. Others can be learned with experience. I can sway people, make them fear me. I see more of the world and in greater detail than some kindred. I can will my body to move with unparalleled precision and grace, and more. All of these skills make me who I am. They also help me hunt.
How exactly do I use these talents?
You will the blood to do your bidding. Many times you'll find you do these things intuitively, almost passively, but making an entire room focus their attention on you, that is tempting the beast. Always keep the masquerade in mind, however. It is all fine if you can disappear in plain sight or command animals with your mind, but save those overt talents for the right place and time. The zoo. Cuddling with all the animals.
It only takes you half an hour to reach the park at this time of night. Both you and Sophie leave the car, with Gregory left behind again to find a parking spot and keep an eye on the car. I don't need that much detail on Gregory doing his business as a driver. Not to disrespect him, you know, but It's not that interesting. Sophie seems deep in thought. She takes in the surroundings with a dreamy gaze. The sky is surprisingly clear tonight, the stars just barely visible in the light-polluted aura of the city.
I feel like having a snack myself. I bathe by the fountain. Go, look for somebody to your liking. See what effects you can achieve with your blood, but only pick one victim. Just one. Then come back.
Ooh. Seeing how she seems not altogether here right now, you decide to leave Sophie to her own devices and seek out your prey. From here it looks like you have a few choices. Just taking a stroll around the park and finding an isolated jogger or someone like them could work, but focusing on one area might work better. The New York State Pavilion might work as a secluded spot. There's a skate park nearby, and worst case scenario there's bound to be some unfortunate wino around. Or maybe the tennis courts nearby? There's light coming from there, so somebody might still be playing a late night match. They won't be alone, but they might be tired and let their guard down. As these scenarios play out in your mind, you realize you're planning how to assault a stranger in the middle of the night. It's a weird way to be, but the now familiar hunger prompts you to act. So I won't, around the park, I don't want to pick a teenager, a skater teenager. I think at the tennis courts, those are usually, I know, maybe it's too much logic for this game, but they're usually very bright and with a lot of people. So I will totally hunt near the decrepit pavilion. You make your way to one of the park's most well-known landmarks, the round skeleton of the New York State Pavilion, with its two vaguely futuristic-looking towers. Wait, it's super big? I thought it would be like a small little pavilion. You don't get lucky with the skate park. Fortunately, it's not deserted. Instead, a group of skaters is gathered there. Yeah, they never do, like, they never hang out on their own. Talking loudly and listening to music playing out of crackling smartphone speakers. Deciding to have a quick look around, you identify a potential victim. A sleeping bag. Oh, come on, not a bag lady. That poor woman. A sleeping bag lady leaned back on a bench, a shopping cart full of what looks like trash nearby. One of these might be the right opportunity to take. Oh no! I backed myself into a corner. I don't want to take a skater because they might be teenagers. But a homeless person? That is so horrible. Okay, let's just imagine all the teenagers went home because it's late at night. So we have those 40-something skater dudes that actually do exist. And let's just imagine that what we're seeing at the skater park is just adults. Like, kind of bro-y skater adults, okay? Let's just do that. And then we can also test presence, which apparently is one of my blood powers. You think back to what Sophie did in the hall, how she managed to focus the attention of the entire gathering on her. That might be a tall order for you, but a single person could be doable. You single out a guy who's talking on his phone away from the gathering. He's having a heated discussion with somebody. A relative, a partner? It's not going well. No, he looks so young! This talk's over! I said shut the fuck up! Hey, you hearing me? Shut up! Call me when you get some fucking sense into your stupid brain, okay? Okay? He ends the call abruptly and almost throws the phone to the ground in frustration. Ooh. Hey man, I need some help. Hey man, I need some help. He's got an angry expression on his face and tears welling in his eyes, but he gives you a curious look and even a bit of a shy smile. Sure, what can I do for you? Oh, that sounds so creepy. Come closer, let's talk. I think you need somebody to talk to right now. Yeah? Yeah? He takes a few steps forward, away from his buddies, who remain totally oblivious to what's happening, but you see your influence fading. You take your chance and lunge. Your fangs sink into his exposed shoulder. He shivers and lets out a moan. His phone hits the pavement and you hear the casing crack. Oh man! It's probably super expensive. His blood tastes like a clash of hot emotion and melancholy, laced with some artificial stimulant you can't quite place. An energy drink? A recreational drug? It's a strange mix. Probably Monster or something like that. You hardly have the chance to savor it, as the proximity of the skater's friends makes you feel vulnerable. You hastily finish drinking and drag the guy over to the pavilion. When you turn around, you realize you're not alone. A hooded man is looking menacingly at you. Hoodlum? Who wrote this?
What do you think you're doing, barging in on my turf like this? Lick.
Oh, it's a vampire! A vampire hoodlum. A derogatory term usually used to address young, inexperienced vampires. Oh, this is too funny. Well, I know what it is now. I didn't mean to trespass. Sorry, I'm going.
Too late for that, friendo. You want to leave here in one piece, you talk. Candidly, I know what you are, so you can shove that masquerade misdirection up your ass. Now better tell me who you're with before my posse shows up and we beat it out of you.
I came here with Sophie Langley. She's my patron.
Doesn't ring a bell. Sounds fancy though.
He licks his lips, exposing his fangs and looking at you voraciously. A nervous tick or an attempt at intimidation. Maybe I should have said the Camarilla.
I wonder what would Callahan do to you if he brought you in, huh? Break your shins? Leave you out to be kissed by the sun? Oh, concrete shoes maybe. He's old school like that.
Callahan is an Irish name, right? But I can't do accents. I mean, I do them, but I can't do them. Celerity? Yes! You take off fast, faster than you've ever run. The hoodlum has trouble keeping up, but howls behind you like an animal and gives chase anyway. As you reach the Utosphere again, you slow down, noticing two people near the sculpture. A man and woman tangled in a passionate embrace. That's Sophie and her victim. No, not exactly, it's Sophie. Feeding, but this whole scene is set up so that it looks like a couple getting intimate in public. She pulls it off like she's done it 100 times before. Not like she's done it, she did it 100 times before. Hula. Honestly, I should have let you get beat up by the hoodlum. It occurs to you that she probably has. Also, if he's a leftist, he would never use the word hoodlum. You don't use the word hoodlum. If you are if you're a white, privileged left person, then you probably would. It occurs to you that she probably has. Oh, sorry. Just got ahead of myself. The man is unsure on his feet as she lets go of him and leads him towards a nearby bench. Noticing you, she whispers something into his ear and leaves him. Her driver appears from behind a tree. Oh my... Gregor had to walk... Was it George or Gregor? Oh, sorry. Gregory. He had to wait, like, cowered behind a tree? That's so demeaning. I hope he gets paid well. Well, Hula, how did it go? You're about to answer when the same figure as before emerges from one of the alleys. He looks at the three of you, and a predatory smile creeps onto his lips.
You thought you could run away from me, Lick? Think you'll be safe with your friends? Well, I have friends too.
He makes a motion to shout, but two things happen almost at the same time. First, that feeling of warmth and beauty emanating from Sophie flares up again, entrancing both of you in the hooded thug. His shout comes out as a weak, confused squeak. Second, Gregory produces a wooden stake from a holster under his jacket and slams it into the thug's chest. I'm sorry, Gregory, you're amazing. I want to know more of you. Just like that, in a few seconds, the posturing vampire is down on the ground, paralyzed. I see you've made a friend, Hula. Curious choice of company, I would say. Who is he? He said this... Ah. I should have said with Callahan, she probably would know. He said this was his turf and that I trespassed on it. I thought this place was supposed to be safe. Well, he's not part of the Camarilla. Corona Park hasn't been claimed by anyone I know of. Curious. Let's go to the car. We'll put him in the trunk and present him to Kadir tomorrow night. I'm sure he'll be delighted to make this hoodlum's acquaintance. That word. Gregory carries the staked vampire and dumps him in the car's trunk like a mannequin. It's a strange sight, and you're quite happy you're not in the poor fucker's shoes right now. It's almost surprising that you can't get away with just casually throwing a stiff into your car and driving away, but then you remember that Sophie has been doing this far longer than you have. Still, the nagging thought that anything you did tonight could have been recorded on a CCTV camera or picked up by a rando with a half-decent smartphone and streamed online fills you with dread. Hunting and using your abilities is a dangerous business. It's clear that this whole being a vampire thing has about as many caveats as it has perks. You're taken out of your headspace by Sophie's voice.
I will pick you up tomorrow night, same as tonight. I have some business to attend to at Elysium, and I expect you to accompany me. Plus, our friend in the back needs to be properly introduced to Kadir and the prince. I'm sure they have some interesting things to say to the court.
Didn't we already read the bit about the court? The social system of a city's kindred resembling the feudal system of mortals. At the top is the prince, below them the members of the Primogen Council. Order in the domain is maintained by a sheriff. The gatherings are organized in secret sanctuaries known as Elysiums. Or Elysiums? I don't know. Her voice is cold, cruel, and nothing like the enchanting personality she showed at the gallery earlier tonight. Sophie is clearly a woman of many faces. What's going to happen to him?
The usual, I imagine. Interrogation by Kadir, probably in the basement of the gallery. A quick trial with the prince in attendance, if she's there tomorrow night. A swift execution as the verdict.
This all sounds eerily familiar to you, and you can't help but feel a pang of guilt when you think about what awaits this guy tomorrow night.
You haven't told me how your hunting went. Getting the hang of it, I would hope.
I think I am, yeah. I'll cope.
I'm glad.
She doesn't question you further. She seems distracted, not all there. Her thoughts drift and the car remains silent until you reach your apartment. You can't tell whether her thoughts drift. You can say you think her thoughts are drifting, but you can't, well.
We will pick you up tomorrow evening. Good night.
Just like that, without any further courtesy, Sophie leaves, driven to her apartment by Gregory, with the body in the trunk. Right in the middle of Manhattan. Only in New York. That's, I post a link. That's a reference that no one can ever know, because it's so random. So I post a link in the liner notes, because it's a cute bit. Anyways, did you cross paths with situations like these in the past, unknowingly? What other secrets did you pass on the streets without knowing their true nature? Hula. Your haven is just as you left it hours ago. Although the sun won't come up for some time, you feel tired. You learned something about yourself today, and it'll take time to process. That's like, you know, in a kids show. We learned something about ourselves today. We can suck the blood out of human beings. Now try this at home. You're not in the mood for television, and the few books on the shelves in the apartment are either in languages you don't speak or sound like a boring read. I remember in the first episode where he was like, oh, that woman doesn't just get her information from some Twitter feeds, but from YouTube streams and channels. Not a big reader, are you, Hula? Nothing left to do but rest. You settle in the back room, lock the door. A moment of hesitation, but then a decision. This time, you turn the light off. Ooh. You think back to Julie. How many people in this city know about this vampiric society? How many are willing accomplices in sustaining it? And the thug you met in the park. If he's not Camarilla, then what is he? Are there independent vampires? How does that work? I really should have told Sophie the name. More questions. You begin wondering if there's ever going to be a night when you can start crossing them off the list, instead of adding to it. You close your eyes. You sink into the now familiar void of nothingness. It greets you with open arms like an old friend. Okay, do I stop this episode here or play a little bit longer? I think this is a good stopping point though, because we're sleeping now. And yeah, that's a good... I will stop. Sorry. Also, I get a little bit burpy from all the reading, so this is probably a good point before I just outright, you know, do horrible. Now with the camera, it's even worse than just the sound. You open your eyes. It's pitch dark here, the blackness of a coffin drifting in the abyss. Oh right, the light. You grasp for the switch. Oh my god. Why is Hula such a dork? You grasp for the switch, flip it. The familiar cramped room with a steel door and no windows comes into view. You emerge from the bedroom fully awake, just like yesterday. This time, however, Sophie is waiting for you, comfortably seated on the sofa in your living room space, a book in her hand, The Melancholy of Resistance. The title's sure on brand. Okay, and with that, we'll end this episode. I hope you had fun. I kind of have fun. It's really like a little bit goth meringue. I don't know if you know that. It's kind of a parody horror show presented by a fictional, really bad horror writer. And at times it feels a bit like that. Also, I think Hula is one of the worst protagonists I've ever played with. But the story is kind of fun. It's really fun. It's a little bit, yeah, it's so cheesy. And the morals are a little bit... I'm not so sure, but you know, I can address that and talk about that, so I think it's fine. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to how this will continue, because as of now we've just been trained, like we're still in the supercut training session of the movie, you know, where it's like da da da, kill a guy, da da da, run away. So we'll see whether at some point we'll actually get into the story, because there is a plot, because the intro kind of alluded to that. So yeah, if you like this, comment, subscribe, that would be so cool. And have a wonderful day. Take care. Auf Wiedersehen. Bye, 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 bye.